So let's talk about the test for aqueous anions. And anions are negative ions, and in this video we're going to talk about 4 different anions, which are the carbonate, which is CO32 minus, chloride, which is Cl minus, nitrate, which is NO32 minus, and sulfate, which is SO42 minus. Now, the carbonate and the sulfate, we talked about them in previous videos, but we're going to talk about them again today in this video in order to get all the tests in one video, so you guys don't need to go over different chapters in order to get different tests. So in this video, we're going to combine everything. So let's start with the carbonate. And in the carbonate, we previously saw, for example, the reaction metal carbonate with acids to produce carbon dioxide gas and water and a salt. But we're not gonna get into that because it was in previous videos. Now let's see how to test for the carbonate. For the carbonates, we add hydrochloric acid, which is HCl, and if a gas is given off, which is CO2 gas given off, then a carbonate is present. But how do we test for the carbon dioxide? Because it's a colorless gas, we bubble this gas, so bubble onto lime water, and if lime water turns milky, then CO2 is present. And in the previous videos we talked about this reaction in more details and how will the lime water turn milky. So that's that for the reaction with carbonate in order to test for the presence of it. Now let's talk about chloride, and chloride involves the addition of 2 different tests, and we'll start by adding the same amount. So add the same amount as the chloride of, no, let's reword this because it's gonna sound complicated. So add same amount of nitric acid as the chloride. And then the next step to do is add silver nitrate solution. So add silver nitrate solution. Now what's gonna happen? Well, if chloride ions are present, a white precipitate will form. So a white precipitate will form. So that's that for chloride. In order to test for the chloride, you add the same amount of nitric acid as the chloride, and then you add silver nitrate solution. So pay attention, nitric acid and nitrate solution. And if chloride ions are present, a white precipitate will form. Now let's move on to testing for the nitrate ion. And in order to test for the nitrate ion, you firstly have to add some sodium hydroxide, and afterwards you add some aluminum pieces. Now what's gonna happen is, if nitrate ions are present, then ammonia gas is given off. And in order to test for the presence of ammonia, you test with red litmus paper, and if red litmus paper turns blue, then ammonia is present. Now finally, let's talk about the sulfate. And the sulfates, we need also 2 steps. You first add dilute hydrochloric acid, and then you add some barium nitrate solution. So barium nitrate solution, and if sulfate ion is present, then a white precipitate forms. So let's recap and let's make this easier to memorize. We talked about 4 different anions, and let's see how to filter that out, and let's see how to make this easier. So both the carbonate, so right here, the carbonate forms a gas, which is CO2, and also the nitrate forms a gas, which is ammonia. And in order to test for the carbon dioxide gas, we use lime water, and in order to test for the ammonia, we use red litmus paper. So that's that for carbonate and nitrate. So both of them, there is a gas evolving. Now, for the chloride and the sulfate, there are white precipitate. So here, the chloride, a white precipitate forms, and the sulfate, a white precipitate forms. But there's different steps for each. So try to memorize this as professional as possible. This is the best word I can come up with, professionally, and there is no way you guys can know the test or the reaction, what's gonna happen, except if you memorize it, because at this level you can't really tell. So you have to memorize these off by heart. I gave you a hint to link the carbonate to the nitrate because there is a gas evolving. The chloride and the sulfate, there is a white precipitate, but you guys have to know which reagent is added, whether it's hydrochloric acid, whether it's nitric acid, whether sodium hydroxide. So you guys have to memorize these. So good luck, and I hope this was clear and easy for you. So stay tuned and good luck.